And we're live. And you're
Hello!
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to our first proper episode of No Holds Barred. I am Bernard. We've got Ian, the dancing freak, and Martin, our lovely sandwich boy.
Yes. I love being a villain.
You're just going to be on the bottom of the screen permanently.
That's fine.
You might have to share it once or twice, but
No.
Not for the first time.
Exactly.
So tonight we are coming to you live. We are coming to you for our first proper episode, and we're going to dive straight in, I think, as it's quite a broad topic that we want to cover. I mean, it's going to be one that we're going to cover over multiple weeks, so I don't think the conversation is going to finish tonight. But we're going to talk about the mental health of men generally, and we know that mental health in general is important, but like we mentioned on our little pre-launch video, our aim is to cover more of the men's topics and more of the topics around mental health in men. And all three of us have had dealings with mental health. Whether any of us want to share that, we will over time. But I think this just needs to be a general conversation rather than trying to block it all into segments. But do you guys want to open up about any of your struggles or issues that you've had in the past?
This would be so short if I went no. Laughing and joking about it. I mean, I do tend to use jokes and comedy as a defense against it, if that makes sense. Where
Yeah, totally.
half the time it's easier to laugh and joke about it than sometimes let it.
Yeah, because if you get really sort of into it, you do really go deep, and I'm the same. I'll always use a bit of humour just to lighten the situation because I don't want to go too involved and let people see what I'm really feeling or what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's where you kind of use it as a barrier.
Yeah, as I say, it's a defence mechanism, isn't it? You just like make light of a situation, which in reality we shouldn't. We should just be able to say, do you know what, this is how I feel, and just if anyone's there to listen to you, that's great, and if not, there's places where you can go.
I think that's why I think this is why, like I said, this is quite important. Where it's letting them. I mean, I'm not taking it away from women suffer just as bad as men. That's one thing I want to make clear on this. It's trying to put this through as a male point of view. I can't talk about female problems because I've no idea. I can only speak from my own experiences and my own opinion on this type of stuff. But on a personal level, I've suffered with mental health now for coming up to about 18 years. And during that time, I've attempted to take my own life twice. Thankfully, I'm still here. Not everyone will have that opinion, but yeah, I'm still going.
Glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here.
But during that time, it was hard to actually talk to anyone about it, admit in a way that you had problems. Because as I say, you have that thing where you're a bloke, just man up, get over it.
Exactly, that is the thing. I mean, and most men, growing up, I know I had it. If I had problems and I want to, my dad was from a different generation. Men didn't speak about the feelings, or, it was. I mean, my dad was a lovely bloke, and he'd be in there for me, and he was. But things I don't feel like I could talk to my dad about. I mean, because I just didn't think he'd understand. I mean, and my dad, as I say, and people, people have their own problems. You don't want to put your burdens onto them.
Yeah.
And
my dad passed away when I was 16, so I was brought up then with my mum, and she did an amazing job. But obviously then I didn't have like a male role model figure in my life. So I don't think that really contributed anything in my mind, because the depression came on years later from that.
Well, you never know. It could have had a detrimental effect, because as I say, I lost my mum when I was 15, and I know that's what sparked my mental health issues. I'd say, because grief does that play a big part in most things, I'd say. And it's like a case of, I'd say, there was no grief counselling when I was younger or anything like that, where there was no help like there is available now. So back then it was a completely different thing. And as I say, my dad had his own issues going on, so I didn't want to add to them. And I think it's like over the years, it just sort of built and snowballed until I got to a point where, like you, tried to take my own life.
I think also that, like, sorry.
I think also, I mean, over the years, from when I first, I say going back 18, 20 years ago, when it was mental health issue, the help has progressed so much more now to what it was back then.
I can honestly say the crisis team at the Verzachley Hospital with me were fantastic. And then the people who they put me in touch with afterwards, which were James Place, but you do have to be referred to there to be seen by them. They were absolutely fantastic, and I'd credit them to saving my life.
I think also after time, it's admitting to yourself as well that you've got a problem.
Yeah.
But I think with me, when the depression first started coming on, it was whether or not I was looking to get help. I think it took a while from when the depression started to actually realizing the fact that I can't go on like this. It was getting to the point where suffering day to day, it was getting exhausting. It was getting tiring.
Now it does.
And I think I had to make a mental decision. I need help.
No, I think with me, I kind of made that decision that I didn't want the help. I just wanted to do it. And I had the date set in my head. Every time I was going to shops, it was, oh, we need paracetamol. We need paracetamol. And my husband would be like, no, you don't. We've got plenty. And I'm going, oh, no, I'm just buying some anyway. And I'd put them in the drawer. And be like, we've got hundreds in there. And that was my little way of thinking, you know what? That's how I'm going to do it.
You're preparing for it.
I was doing things that prepared. I mean, I even went as getting me bleeding house coat, the belt that goes round it, tying it on the banister of my stairs and see if it can hold me weight. I literally prepped myself for what I was going to do.
Because I think that's the thing as well. I mean, when I got into that state of mind where it was enough, I just don't want to be here anymore. I'm not useful to anyone. I'm not useful to myself. That was a dark and scary time because you get very blinkered. All you're focusing on is I want it gone.
Yeah, that's it. You can't see nothing else. And I say when I was at that point, I didn't want to tell anyone how I was feeling. I was like, I painted on the biggest smile on my face, and I'm going, oh yeah, I'm fine, Oh yeah, it was great. So I'll see you next week, blah blah. And in my head, I was thinking, this time next week, I'm going to be dead, so I'm not going to care about what you think or how you're feeling. And I know I was being very, very selfish at that point. And then again, and I don't want to say it was selfish, it was just how I was feeling. And you have no control over how you think or how you feel because the mind is such a bastard at times, do you?
I think that's why people don't kind of understand, like, where in the past I've heard people saying, oh, well, they're selfish for doing this and this. And then you look on the other side, well, are they selfish? Because, it's their feelings and their life and stuff. It's not.
It takes some balls to go through with it. And
to actually do it.
And I think for me, my own survival instinct kicked in because I got up at like 2:00 in the morning and I literally thought that this is it. This is the date I picked. I got up. My husband was in bed, knew nothing. Knew absolutely nothing how I was feeling. It was, oh, good night, babe, love you lot. And when I got up, I literally came into the kitchen and opened the drawer and there was paracetamol after box of paracetamol, ibuprofen, dihydrocodeine, all these tablets that, that were there. And I was just thinking, well, they're there for a reason. This is what I meant. The universe or whoever wants me to do this. And then I remember pouring myself a glass of milk, thinking, I'm just going to take all these. And I did. I just started. And then I think I got to a point where I was like, my owners are going, what am I doing? I don't want my husband to find me dead on the floor when he gets up. And that's what kick-started me. And then I sat there, I just cried for hours. And literally, as soon as it got light, I picked myself up and I walked to the doctors. And I waited for them to open. And I was like, I need help. I went and took a load of tablets. I went, I need help. I don't want to die. I need help. Otherwise, I am going to kill myself. And as I say, our doctor was a little bit shit. Didn't know how to handle it. And he went, yeah, here's a letter. Take this to the Royal. Take this to the Royal. Take this to the Zachary. And hopefully I'll get seen. And you know what, I can honestly say the people in the Zachary were amazing with me. But as I say, you get in such a dark place that you can't see your way out. And like when you try and explain things, well, how do you think about how you leave that person? You don't really care at that point. Because I know I was just more thinking, I need out of this pain that I'm in. And I was in severe pain. And as I say, it was like, I don't know, I mean, being in a job where I hated, being surrounded by people who, you know, some people who I did enjoy being around, other people I couldn't stand. And it was being in that position for like 9-10 hours every day, killing myself in a job, which I actually didn't like. And it just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. Losing my mum at an early age, watching her suffer, then watching my dad's health deteriorate, and then being his main carer, and then watching him pass. It was just something after another, after another, after another. And there was only so much of a smile I can paint on my face to realise before I cracked. But I do credit, as I
can understand
James.
I understand where you're coming from on that one, because when I went, I got up in the morning, similar to yourself, and left my family. I left my kids, left my partner, and was determined that day, that was it. I'm not going to be a burden on anybody else.
No, exactly.
And I think the problem I got is when I started getting the help, it was people asking questions over, do you know when it started? Or exactly, can you pinpoint what began or when it started with you? And I could never just pinpoint
I can't
it because of that happened or because of that. It just seems to be a combination, and it all just built.
Yeah, that's the thing. The smallest thing just builds up to something that it doesn't need to be.
And we've spoken about it. I mean, the smallest thing will suddenly turn into a volcano in my mind, where it erupts and it's the end of the world. I can't face it. I can't sort it. Turn your back on it, and then things build, and then the depression starts again. So I think it is good that people need to start opening up more.
Exactly, and then it's especially hard for fellas. I think women, okay, you know, as I said, don't take anything away from women because they suffer just as much. But I think when it comes to this sort of subject, women aren't afraid to talk about how they're feeling because it's more acceptable for a woman to, you know, spill the feelings to the friends or to the partner or whatever. Where men, they've got to be seen as, you know, the protector, you know, the provider. Well, not the provider, but, you know, they're meant to be the stronger one out of the two. So they're meant to be there to pick the partner up or, you know. Yeah. And that's the thing.
I think also
men are very, I mean, I think when it comes to like emotions, I think men are very emotionally immature. I think they don't know how to express it because it hasn't been taught to them.
But that's got to be from their childhood, because I'm going to pipe in there because from my perspective, boys are always told that they need to be strong, brave, not show emotion, not show any form of weakness in themselves or any sort of I'm trying to think of the word.
It's where you've got to put a front onto the world that everything's okay.
Exactly. You've got to paint your face on, haven't you? And be.
But you're always told to. You've got to be like the male role model in your life. You've got to be like them. You've got to impress them. You've got to show them that you're a man and you can't be a wuss, or you need to man up if you're upset. You can't cry. You can't do this. So is that the generation before us psychologically putting us at a weakness or putting us at a
As I say, I think, men are taught, as you just said, are taught to be, you've got to be strong, you've got to man up, you've got to, just deal with it. Don't be crying if, something's upset you, don't get upset about it, deal with it. But if you don't know how to deal with it, you're fucked.
Yeah.
It's like with the depression, the main thing I got at the beginning of it, of people's, even friends who was probably trying to help me, was like, "Oh, just pull yourself together."
Why? It's like, why are you feeling that way? And you're like, well, I don't fucking know. I can't pinpoint the exact reason. I just know that's how I'm feeling.
If I fucking knew, I'd source it.
Exactly, that's the thing. You don't know what causes it. As I say, the mind is such a strong and powerful thing that you could have everything going for you. You could have absolutely everything going for you. You could have all the money in the world. You could have the best job going. You can have the most perfect relationship, but in your head, it's not right, and you can't explain it. You can't understand why you're feeling that way when you've got everything going for you. I mean, the mind is absolutely, as I say, it's a bastard at times, Suya, because you don't know. There's no control over it. You don't know if it's a chemical thing or anything. It could just be some slight imbalance that, you see yourself in this completely distorted way.
See, now I know you two said you can't kind of pinpoint where... See, like mine, I can kind of pinpoint the start of where mine was going from. So I don't know whether that's kind of an advantage for me or a disadvantage. I don't know.
I mean, I can kind of, with like losing my mother at an early age, that. There's one other thing that we could probably talk about on another time.
That's fine.
Which I don't want to open up just now, but
that's fine.
That had a proper huge effect on how I feel, and on a daily basis from it, to be fair. But we can talk about that on another topic. But that was a big factor in how I got to where I got to.
I mean, the thing is, we're talking about the problems and the depression and all that one. I think all three of us should give ourselves a pat on the back that we're still here. We've been strong enough that shit's gone on. And it might be trivial, whatever it is to somebody else, but to us, it was the end of the world.
Listen, do you know what? We should be proud of ourselves that we're still here, because you know what? It's shown the fact that our survival instinct kicked in, because there's countless other people out there who couldn't see another way out, who didn't want to talk to the friends, the loved ones, and sadly they've took their own lives, and there's no coming back from that. Where we recognise them thought patterns in our head now and go, shit, okay, I need to stop. I'm getting that way again, or I'm feeling a certain way. And then there's something, yourself, like, I know I can talk to any of you. I know I can talk to my partner. I know I can talk to my family. 2 years ago, when I went through all that, I mean, I didn't think I could talk to them. I didn't know how to talk to them.
Oh, and I couldn't speak to anyone.
And that was the big thing.
Going on.
And that was a big thing for me, because even though I was just like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'll see you later. Oh, the world was such a happy place. Because people describe me, I was always upbeat, positive, singing, bouncing around work like the little gay boy going, ha, ha, like life's a party. But
I think that's what surprised a lot of people when there's depression kicked in me, because I am a joker. I do entertain, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So when the depression and all that came out and everyone knew about it, it was kind of like, really, Ian? It was shock to them, because the mask you put on.
Yeah, and you wear a mask every day.
I think that's also like the same for comedians, though, because you see a lot of comedians, and I think if I remember right, Lee Evans spoke about this, how he has had depression because he does the comedy and he has to go on stage and he does that front. You kind of don't see it because you've got
well, look at Robin Williams, prime example. Okay. He was one of the funniest people in the world, and he put this show on for everyone, and deep inside he was dying. and he saw no other way out. And sadly, you know, he took his own life, and the world was a darker place for it.
Exactly.
Because somebody like that, I mean, he was naturally funny.
Yeah.
You know, he couldn't see a way out of it.
No.
And
I mean, through your experiences there, do you ever... I know at the beginning when mine started, I found it, well, virtually impossible to talk to people who are new. But do you find when you said you went to Fazakli, did you find it easier to speak to someone that you weren't close to?
Well, not at first, no. I mean, I was still closed off at first, and it was only when I went to James's place. Because when I went to Fazakli, Liam was with me, my brothers were with me. I had to go to James's place on my own. And it was only when they sort of, as they say, they gave you like flashcards with like words on, and then you sort of like look into them, how they make you feel, and then you write down absolutely everything that's on your mind, everything that, even if it's the most minutest, stupidest little detail that you can think, like I broke a pencil or something so random, and then they break it down for you. So it's like a step-by-step guide, you know, like breaking your problems down and then solving one at a time. And then so it's like the next problem isn't so big because, as I said, you haven't got that last problem to deal with because you've sorted that. And that's how it helped me because, as I say, there was loads of things like, as I say, it was just probably trivial things that sort of like built up to not, something that shouldn't have caused me any issue. Because it was like snowball effect, it just sort of built up and added to it until I just like, if I lost my shit.
Yeah, it's like I said before, the smallest thing suddenly becomes the darkest place to be.
Exactly. And
it just goes that way.
And you do, and you overanalyze conversations that you've had where you think, oh, I said something to that person and I didn't mean to upset them. And you probably haven't upset them, but in your head you have. And that plays in your part, and then you get that guilt feeling, and you're like, and the anxiety builds up with that thinking shit, because I don't want people to think I'm a bad person and I'm saying shit to upset people. And then it's like that whole mental side of it where you're thinking, then you're taking their feelings into account more than your own.
Just want to throw those numbers from underneath. So if you need any help, call Samaritans on 116 123. There's Liverpool Cams on 0800 145 6570, or contact your local crisis team and your local A&E. Right, I've got some statistics for you, okay? And to be honest, some of them shocked me, and actually how less men get than women. But generally in first, 1 in 4 people have a mental health problem, and 1 in 6 suffer from either anxiety or depression. I know I've got a lot of the anxiety and a bit of the depression, but I think all 3 of us can throw up that.
Yeah, I think
suffer from that.
But is that like just men, or is that?
That's men and women. It's just in general in the UK. That is how many people suffer from a mental health problem. So that's anything from
an age range with that.
No, just the general.
Because I generally think now, with social media the way it is, I think that plays a huge part in people's mental health. Because I think social media and, you know, the likes of Instagram and filters and all that plays a huge part on people. Because they see that person and think, why can't I look like that? Or why isn't my body like that?
Exactly.
And that does play a huge part, and especially in younger people, because I know like the likes of, I've got like young nieces, and I've heard them say going, well, she's beautiful, she's really slim, I'm dead fat. And I'm thinking, this is coming from like 11-year-old girls who are not fat at all. There's not an ounce of fat on them, and they're seeing these people, these images, and they want to be like them. But yet they're already at a disadvantage because they think that they're fat because of it. And it's like a really distorted image. And I think social media has a huge part in, especially in younger people.
But it is coming up to like as well that you're actually starting to realise a lot more boys are getting into that.
Yeah.
body consciousness, and it's again that's not talked about because it's a boy, so they shouldn't be conscious about the body. But
exactly.
it's like I always say, I always need to lose weight. I happily admit that I do need to lose weight, and I'm always conscious of like if I see a picture of someone, that's how generally men are supposed to be perceived.
Exactly.
Generally, you see men perceived as like a six-pack, trimmed, thin.
Oh, don't be turning me on.
Not a six-pack, but it's just well hidden. It's there somewhere.
It's underneath the puppy fat.
See, that's the thing, insulation. Because and that does play a part, like how all these people are, and it's all. But these people are like celebrated for being that way, and it's like you'd have all like stupid shows like Love Island and where they're all bloody skin thin and they're like all muscular and they're all, oh, look at me and all these little influencers and like, oh, I'm having a healthy shake and fuck off with yourself. Honest to God, fuck off with your healthy shake and shove it up your ass.
But it also gets to the point where it's like, as well as girls and women, you do get the men having the anorexia and trying to get to that perfect shape, and then again, it's still not something that, because I would not think 10 years ago men and boys would have issues with weight or issues with anorexia or anything like that, or even going to the other extreme of feeding themselves too much and putting on too much weight.
Exactly. There's nowhere in between.
It's like one extreme to the other.
There's nothing in between, but that it's just either one or the other. It's like, and you see all these shows that are trying to promote body confidence and stuff, which, what fair play to them, do it. But if you don't see yourself in that way, then you're not going to see the results. Like, you're not going to feel confidence in your own body. I know I don't feel confident in my own body some days. Some days I don't give a flying shite. But other days I'm like, where you've got like the other week, for example, I bought loads of new clothes for like an holiday. I was putting a shirt on the other day and it wouldn't fit. It fitted all nice on my chest and me, but because I've got this little bit of a belly, it wouldn't fit. And I was like, oh my God. And it just felt awful. I was like, fuck me, I am fat.
I think I've got about 2 or 3 t-shirts in the wardrobe that are my target weight, which have been there for maybe...
Is it a realistic one? Because you don't want to torture yourself that...
Well...
You want something that you can aim for, which is
currently
realistic.
Now I'm a large in t-shirts, so it's a medium. So it's doable.
Are you a medium?
In other aspects.
He was 11.
No, I mean, but you know what though? And it is doable as long as you do it in a healthy way. I mean, I keep saying I'm going to start exercising, and do you know what? Bloody last Sunday I got up and do you know what I had for my fucking breakfast? An Aero caramel. That was my breakfast. Fucking big fat bar of chocolate, because I was like, oh, do you know what? Fuck it.
To be fair, for the last 3 months, me and you have said we're going for a run, and we still haven't gone.
I know we haven't gone for this run yet, but because you haven't come to pick me up.
I think the problem is as well because of the pandemic thing that's going on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're scared to come out half the time, aren't you?
Yeah, if you can't interact, you can't go out. I think that's hit a lot of people's mental health. I know the last lockdowns, this one that's just, well, when it coming out of, hopefully, it's hit me harder than the other ones.
Right,
I'm not quite sure why, because I'm doing the same thing.
Exactly. Let me throw this statistic to you. 1 in 5 people have suicidal thoughts. 1 in 14 people self-harm, and 1 in 15 people attempt suicide. That is both men and women. Women are more likely.
Self-harm?
Hang on. Women are more likely to attempt suicide, but men are 3 times more likely to take their own life. So men are 3 times more likely to go through with that.
And that goes
through with it all.
That makes, but that's why I say men are more emotionally, immature or guarded. Yeah, I say immature. I don't want to say like the immature like that. I want to say because they haven't been able to, like, we're women. They've grown up, haven't they, talking about the feelings. That's a woman. Like, when you think of society, that's a female aspect. I've been talking with the girlfriends, with the mums, being open and how they feel, and and stuff like. Men aren't. So that's why I say they are immature with that aspect.
Because, like, no offense, if Ian was to come to me and said, "You all right?" I'd be like, "What do you want?" Because it's not something natural that would come between me and him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that natural conversation. We can insult each other till the cows come home. Get to a serious talking topic, and it's like,
yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Shy away from this one
because it's uncomfortable, and I think that's what half the battle is. It's feeling uncomfortable, and I think you've got to feel uncomfortable sometimes. So, like, because as I say, if this helps, say one person or one other person can say, "I've had that similar experience, but I'm still going through it." If like seeing these numbers here, that helps one person, then we've done a good job. We've done what we're meant to do.
Definitely.
I mean, it's as I say about the likes of the self-harm. I do self-harm, but I do the self-harm to me is a trigger effect to know that something's not right. I know once I stop that, it's kind of a jolt that I know I'm going down that path.
So that's what I mean. It's like, as I said, your own thoughts. Then that's a build up to where it could go further.
It's like knowing your own little triggers, isn't it?
That's mean. Go on and say. I know when my mind starts, as I say, and it is a daily struggle. I mean, because you still have them moments where you have them dark moments where you have your own little thoughts where they tell you, go on, you're not good enough. You're a burden to people, and it's a case of just trying to shut that little noise up and make it just trying to diminish it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then saying, yourself, if you get to that point where you want to start hating yourself, as you say, that's your trigger. So you're getting there. But
I mean, it's going to be kind of weird. Doing this, there's going to be family members of mine or watching this who have either no idea or probably get upset me saying some of this stuff. So a lot of the times my depression seems to upset others more than what it does me because I've got used to living with it.
Do you think that's because they love you and they don't want to see you that way?
Hopefully, yeah. But unfortunately, when I start sinking deep into my depression, that they don't come into it.
No, they don't.
I want to be there for them.
And that's the thing, you don't, and that's where your mindset does take you, where you just think about yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that, and because you've got to, as I say, but when you get in that mindset where, you don't think about anyone else, you don't think about who you love, who you're going to leave behind, or who is it going to upset, because, and I know for me, when I was thinking that, I was thinking, well, I won't care, I won't be here to see it, I won't be here to deal with it.
Because when I go through that and when I've been through that stuff, my mindset goes to, they'll be happy because I'm not here now being a burden for them. So not being, as much as I might upset with them, they'd be fine. They'd be okay. Because I mean, I kind of get it to the point sometimes where I use, that sounds horrible in a way, my kids are my fail-safe now because I don't want to leave them. I don't want them to have that in the mind that my dad committed suicide.
No, and that's, as you say, that's your survival, that's your survivor's instinct kicking in. And that's what I call it, because I was the exact same when I was thinking, I don't want my husband to find me dead on the kitchen floor.
Yeah.
And that was what kick-started my little survivor's instinct to kick it. And that's what I call it. I call it my survivor's instinct because deep down I probably, didn't want to do it, but I couldn't see another way out. And that's what kicked in. And that was my main thought, was thinking, fuck, imagine him coming down and finding someone dead on the floor. Didn't care if he was loved me or he was my husband or what, he loved me. That never crossed my mind because it was like, I didn't care how his feelings were because I couldn't feel it at the time. I couldn't deal with his feelings as well as my own because mine was so overbearing.
I mean, that's why I think I took myself away from the family, because I didn't want them to find me. Yeah. I didn't want that burden on them.
I mean, as I say, and I think as I say, I think my GP was a bit shit with the whole situation because I did go to him because I went to him twice before, and it was just because I was sleeping, and I was like, listen, and it was, you know, would they give you this little form to fill out from what? How likely are you to end your life? Are you thinking about killing yourself? Do you think about self-harm? Well, I'm telling you that I am. This is why I need the help now. Not, oh, well, according to this, you're quite depressed. Fuck off. You went to medical school for that.
Yeah, no fucking shit, Sherlock. Well done on you.
Fucking idiots.
I can remember about, when was it? When did I first have? About 2016, 15. I think I went in the November, and by the June, so what, 7, 8 months, that was when I forgot my first appointment.
That's me. And by that time,
anything
too fucking
between
late.
there, those 8 months, anything could have happened. And luckily,
exactly,
I dragged myself out of it. I think like a lot of people do have to sometimes, because like even though
where you're saying that we're lucky we have the mindset, thankfully, to kick in and keep us here.
Yeah,
we're unfortunately. I mean, I understand there's a strain on the likes of the NHS and GPs and stuff like that. So
yeah, I get that.
Can see why there's a waiting list and stuff like that, which I find. I mean, going back to it, that's why the likes of what we're showing on the bottom here can be basically a lifesaver.
But sometimes that gap, that's a death sentence.
Oh God, yeah.
And that's to be in the case for some, you know, most people who have decided, you know, to take the life because it was too big of a gap from asking for the help and actually receiving it. I was lucky. I mean, I know I'm one of the lucky ones. I literally went on the Thursday, and by the Friday, I was being seen to, and they gave me they gave me tablets there and then to take to help me. Which, as I say, I was in a bit of a drugged up state for a few days, or a few weeks, but it gave me that little bit of respite from my own mind because nothing made sense. So I was grateful for it.
So, you know, I've seen the other side of, because I've seen a mate go through the same thing, and this, not a man, but a woman, but she has suffered from mental health for years and years and years. And there was this, I think one time, like where you said the crisis team were brilliant for you. For me, I felt on this aspect they let her down a bit because it was kind of the fact of she wasn't too much of a crisis, whereas me looking at her physically, she would have been gone that night.
Yeah, as I say, but you had that, you knew her, they didn't.
Exactly.
So they just see it as where you come from a place of pure love and compassion because she's your friend and you want it to be safe. They're just seeing it as a low risk, and they'll be like, oh, well, there's somebody else here who needs more help than them because she seems a little bit more with it than them. And that's the sad thing. You're categorized, and you shouldn't be.
No.
And as I say, I think with me, I think I am grateful for, you know, the team that was there for me at the time. As I say, I've got a friend who suffers with mental health himself, and it's been a completely different story where he hasn't been seen, and he does self-harm, and my God, he does suffer with his mind mentally, and it is very sad. And I know we'll be watching this at one point, so.
The big difference is that individual that's first talking to you.
I think, and do you know what I think?
I've gone through the CBT, the cognitive behavioural therapy. That's not easy to say with false teeth.
Oh.
I know, where I found a lot of them. I got nothing out of it because they give you they give you the form saying go home and fill it in hour by hour of what your day's consisting of, and do that for the week and bring it back to us. I was fucking depressed realizing that I'm doing nothing. Trying to fill this form in and ticking. I got to the point Friday morning, 8 o'clock, got up, had a wank. Just to fill in a page. But, I mean...
I was still depressed about it.
It was too quick. But to me, then, the person I was speaking to was someone, and it's no disrespect to them, they had no life experience. They'd come out of university or college or whatever. They've got these qualifications, but it didn't, to me, seem that they had the practical behind them. They could fill a form in and tick boxes, but I couldn't relate to the person, mainly because, there was nothing there.
What? See, for me, I had young people who just literally, you'd probably say, came out of university, and they, I think, because they were so eager to sort of like get me the help, they done everything they could. They were like, right, I'm going to ring, what's your GP's name and what's his number? They would ring in the GP for me saying, this is what medication he needs to get on. Make sure he's got this prescription now ready. And then they were like, right, I'm going to refer you right now to this team who, as I say, James Street, and they're going to ring you tomorrow. And I was like, it was all just a big whirlwind. But those people, as I say, because they were so fresh out of uni, and they wanted to like make a difference, to put that where they mightn't have had the life experiences or whatever, but they wanted to help. They had, it was like, because they were so young and fresh, and this was all new to them, they were literally pushing in every way to help me, and they did.
But as I say,
you get away from the person who was in it wasn't. Maybe because going back, I say it was different. How do you put it? From when I got first treated to when you've been treated, they progressed more.
Yeah, but then, as I say, but on the flip side, as I'm talking about, my friend who done it, he went to the same place, and it was a completely different story. They didn't look at him. I mean, he was going in, and he had deep slices in his arms. He was, talking about throwing himself off a building or whatever. And they were just like, well, we'll have to send you home. Where I didn't go in with any of them. I didn't go in with like cuts on me or anything. I just went in literally and just bared everything and just said, listen, I don't want to be here. And I think it depends on the person who you've got. As you say, life experiences that it was like night and day to what I had. And I think it's sad because there isn't that consistency that there should be. And I understand it's like,
I mean, I understand the burdens they're all going through, and probably problems that particular, not the person, but say the company or whoever they're working for are having issues. Where they might not have the funding or this kind of stuff behind them, but it doesn't help the individual if you're going in there and you've got them problems.
No, exactly. I think it all depends on the person who you get on the day.
Yeah.
And as much as some of them want to help, they haven't got that capacity to help you. But when I say I was so lucky that the people who I seen were there willing to help me. Where, as I say, where my friend went in there and they did nothing, and it was sort of like, are you messing? I say where I went in and I thought, and if you put me and him together, you'd be like, well, he needed the help more than you, and you got it, and he didn't. Which is a bit shit.
Yeah, I think unfortunately it's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
Let me throw these other statistics before we finish. Right, so 76% of suicides are men, with suicide being the biggest cause of death for men under 35. 12.5% of men are suffering from a common mental health disorder. Men are 3 more times likely to become dependent on alcohol, as well as being more likely to use and die from illegal drugs. And men, just like we were talking, are less likely to access psychological therapies than women. And all this is from the Men's Health Forum, which
emotionally stunted.
I can understand it. I wasn't expecting it to be so high.
No, so high. That's mean that is quite shocking, the amount. I say, but then again, I think like the likes of social media and all that's got a huge part of it.
And that's from 2020. Their statistics from last year. So that's the most up-to-date statistics that I could find.
I mean, it is sad, and as I say, us three here on the screen, we're talking about our own personal experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
And if anyone is suffering, get the help, whether you be male,
Exactly.
female.
Reach out. Just reach out to anyone. Because there is always someone there who will listen. I mean, I know it's hard asking for that help when you're so used to not having it or not want. But you don't. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you don't want the help. I mean, you do want the help, but you don't want to admit that you need it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes ignorance isn't bliss. Believe me. It's because you're suffering, and if you are at that point where you are suffering, ask anyone. I'm sure there's somebody there who will listen. And as you said, 9 times out of 10, you just want to vent and get everything off your chest. And if you're still feeling like you need help, speak to a doctor, as I say, and then take the next step from there. Don't hurt. Exactly. Don't hurt yourself to make that pain inside go away, because it won't. It doesn't. You hurting yourself doesn't make that pain inside any less. It just makes you hurt more.
So we'll refer to those numbers at the bottom for Samaritans, Liverpool CAMS for anyone in the Liverpool area, and your local A&E for your crisis team. Right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to our closing segment, Ian's favourite part.
Yeah.
So, Ian, we're going to give you 2 minutes free reign to rant about anything.
Why did I get this part?
Because
okay, main thing that it kind of ties on from this.
Hello.
I'm not looking at the screen here, but
there he is.
You know what? You should have just kept it on the 3. It kind of ties on with what we've been discussing tonight. I tend to follow a lot of different things that happen on YouTube, and the stuff I've seen on there is, quite frankly, fucking disgusting. When it comes to the cancel culture, cyberbullying. I mean, what's annoyed Ian this week? Fair enough. I just saw on YouTube that there was an individual that they got attacked so badly on YouTube, they ended up taking their own channel down. And it wasn't through anything, them being offensive, violence, anything racial. It was down to they disagreed, as stupidly as it sounds, with somebody's point of view about a film. They disagreed with what somebody thought about a film and got hounded. And I just thought, to watch this YouTuber break down was ridiculous over what it was. There's so much other worse things going on in the world that just because this person decided I didn't like this film, this other person who I think had a bigger YouTube channel got people to actually attack her, tweet her, email her. And I was just thinking, who the fuck do you think you are to inflict that type of hatred towards an individual for nothing more than a film? Fair enough, if that person had been promoting violence, racism, phobia, anything like that, to attack them still wrong. You get them the proper authorities to take over. Do it that way. But thankfully, this particular person came back through support of other people on YouTube, the people been following it, and gave this person a boost to come back. And that was just amazing to watch. But I'm lucky in a way, because if somebody's watching this and they start putting on that Ian one, blah, 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 don't like, I've got myself to the point now where, no offense, not asked, fuck off. If you don't agree with what I say, there's always a button to skip or leave your comment. Don't care. You don't affect my life. But I'm glad I'm able to think like that, where there's a lot out there that wouldn't be able to take the criticism, especially over something so petty. So that's kind of my little rant on this one. And we're coming back to everybody else.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Ian? That's great. I like that. It's just the keyboard warrior culture, innit?
Because I was following this particular person, and I swear to God, everything they put out there, it was non-offensive. It was just day-to-day what this person did in their life. Some people must probably looked at and thought, fuck's sake, that's boring. But they caused no offence to anyone. And it was literally because they didn't like a film. How fucking stupid is that?
It's a little bit sad, like, isn't it?
It to me, then it's kind of like, as you say, with social media, it can be amazing when you want to find things or you need to look at things or do something. But the flip side of it, it can cause so much hatred and horrible stuff.
I mean, and it's like, as I say, the keyboard warrior culture, everyone's got a fucking opinion. It's pathetic. Yeah. I mean, everyone's got a voice and everyone can type what they like to who they like, say what they like. And what's the worst thing that'll happen to them? Blocked. That's it.
Yeah.
Things need to be done about it because, as I say, if you watch that Caroline Flack thing, you're seeing all these people put all their notes tweeted there saying Caroline Flack's the ugliest woman on telly. She's a boring fucking bitch. She should die. She's a horrible cunt. All that. But they blanked out the people who said it on the Twitters. I think they should name and shame them. To say, this person said this. This person said that. If they're ballsy enough to say what they want to say, they should be ballsy enough to take the consequences of what they say.
Yeah, face up to what you do. Because a lot of them are all giving all this shit out to people. And half the time, there's no evidence. Nothing to back up these claims. They're just jumping on like little bandwagons.
Exactly. And I think people they should be named and shamed. I mean, so, I think it's this bleeding keyboard warrior culture. Everyone can say what they want. And there's nothing no one can say about it because of freedom of speech. And, it's a public domain. That's your opinion. Or sometimes your opinion fucking is shite and you need to shove it up your ass and stop spouting your hate.
Don't get me wrong, everyone's allowed their own opinion.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be full of hate with it.
Exactly. You don't have to be a nasty bastard with it. Just say, I don't like that person, or I don't agree with you on that one. But, that's it as far as it goes. And that's just how, But that's society. It's fucking shite at times, isn't it?
What you think.
No, exactly.
Not everyone's going to agree with your point of view, which is fine.
No. Exactly. There's probably people watching this who don't agree with what we've said, or it might just struck a chord and gone, oh yeah, you're chatting bollocks. You don't know nothing. But as I say, that's our personal experience of what we've been through. So,
and on that note,
speak to anybody else because I can't.
On that note, we're going to have to draw to a close.
Well, thank you.
Thanks everyone for at least watching.
Yeah. We will be back live next Tuesday. And we hope you join us then. See you soon.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Everyone.